the wooden horse in the attic of a house on Chestnut Street. Behind a stack of old boxes and a dressmaker's dummy that had lost its head, there was a wooden horse. It was not a large horse, nor a particularly impressive one. It was about the size of a small dog, carved from a single piece of pine, and it had been painted a long time ago, though the paint had faded and chipped until the wood showed through in patches like a coat of many colors. The horse had 4 legs, a mane that was just a ridge of carved lines along its neck, and a tail that curved slightly to the left, as if it were standing in a gentle breeze. Its eyes were 2 small dots of black paint, still dark after all these years, and its mouth was a simple line that might have been a smile or might have been nothing at all. No one in the family remembered where the horse had come from. It had simply been there, in the attic, for as long as anyone could recall. The children who had lived in the house over the years had found it, one by one, and held it up to the light and turned it over in their hands and wondered about it, and then, eventually, set it back down and gone on to other things. But one summer, a girl named Sophie found the horse, and this time, something was different. Sophie was 8 years old, and she had come to stay with her grandmother for the summer while her parents sorted out some difficulties that the adults did not explain and the children did not ask about. She arrived with a small suitcase and a stuffed rabbit named Mr. Buttons, and she was quiet in the way that children are quiet when they are carrying something heavy that they do not yet have words for. Her grandmother's house was large and old, with creaky floors and windows that rattled in the wind, and Sophie explored it room by room, opening drawers and peeking into closets and running her fingers along the spines of books she could not yet read. On the 3rd day, she found the attic stairs behind a door in the upstairs hallway, and she climbed them, one slow step at a time, until she emerged into the dusty, sunlit space beneath the roof. The attic was full of things: boxes and trunks and old furniture and a rocking chair that moved slightly in the draft from the eaves, as if someone had just stood up from it. Sophie moved through the clutter carefully, her eyes adjusting to the dim light, and that was when she saw the horse, sitting on a shelf between a hat box and a stack of old magazines. She picked it up and held it in both hands. It was smooth and warm from years of being handled, and it fit perfectly in her palms, as if it had been carved with her hands in mind. She turned it over and examined it, running her thumb along the ridge of its mane, tracing the curve of its tail, touching the small black dots of its eyes. "Hello," she said to the horse, because children talk to things when no one is listening. And something happened. Not anything dramatic, not a flash of light or a whisper of magic, but something subtle and real. Sophie felt a warmth spread through her hands and up her arms and into her chest, a warmth that was not the warmth of the sun coming through the attic window, but something deeper, something that came from inside the horse itself. She sat down on the attic floor, right there among the boxes and the dust, and she held the wooden horse in her lap, and she felt the warmth settle into her, filling the spaces where the heaviness had been. She did not cry, though she had been close to crying every day since she arrived. She did not speak. She just sat there, holding the horse, feeling the warmth and breathing. After a while, she heard her grandmother calling her for lunch, and she tucked the horse under her arm and climbed down the attic stairs and went to the kitchen. She set the horse on the table beside her plate, and her grandmother looked at it and smiled, a slow, knowing smile. "Ah," she said, "you found the horse." "Do you know where it came from?" Sophie asked. "It was mine when I was your age," her grandmother said. "My mother gave it to me, and her mother gave it to her, and so on, back and back, as far as anyone remembers." "What does it do?" Sophie asked, because she was 8 And 8-year-olds know that old things in attics do things. Her grandmother thought about this for a moment. It listens, she said. That's all. It listens, and it holds whatever you give it, and it keeps it safe. Sophie looked at the horse in her lap. Its black eyes looked back at her, steady and calm. She thought about the heaviness in her chest, the thing she did not have words for, and she held the horse a little tighter. That night, Sophie lay in bed with the horse beside her on the pillow. The house was quiet, and the wind moved through the trees outside the window, and the curtains stirred in the breeze. She held the horse and whispered into its carved ear, telling it everything she had not told anyone. The words her parents had said, the sounds she had heard, the fear that lived in her chest like a small, cold stone. The horse listened. It did not move or speak or react in any visible way, but Sophie felt the warmth again spreading through her hands and into her body, and she felt the cold stone in her chest begin to dissolve, not all at once, but slowly, like ice in spring, melting bit by bit until it was gone. She slept that night without dreaming, which was a kind of dream in itself, a dream of deep, uninterrupted rest, the kind that fills you up and makes you ready for whatever comes next. The summer went on, and Sophie stayed, and the horse stayed with her. She kept it in her pocket when she went walking with her grandmother. She set it on her bedside table at night. She held it when she was happy, and when she was sad, and when she was somewhere in between, and each time she held it, she felt the warmth, and the heaviness grew less, and the words she needed came a little closer to the surface. By August, Sophie could talk about her parents without the cold stone returning. She could think about going home without the fear. She could lie in bed at night with the horse beside her and feel only warmth, only comfort, only the deep, steady heartbeat of a house that had held her all summer long. On the last night of her visit, Sophie climbed the attic stairs one more time. She stood in the dusty, sunlit space and looked at the shelf where she had found the horse, and she set it back in its place, between the hat box and the stack of old magazines. "Thank you," she said to the horse. The horse looked at her with its small black eyes, and Sophie could have sworn it smiled, though she knew that was impossible, because it was wood, and wooden things do not smile. But she believed it, and that was enough. She climbed down the stairs and went to her grandmother's kitchen, and they made popcorn and watched the fireflies in the garden, and Sophie felt light and easy in a way she had not felt in a long time. In the morning her parents would come, and she would go home and the summer would be over, but the warmth of the horse would stay with her, always, a small, steady light in the place where the cold stone had been. And in the attic, on its shelf, the wooden horse stood in its gentle breeze, its black eyes watching, its carved mane still, its curved tail just slightly to the left. It had held Sophie's sadness and her fear, and it had warmed them away. And now it waited, patient and still, for the next child who would find it, the next small heart that needed mending, the next story to be whispered into its carved ear. The attic was quiet, the house was quiet, the night was deep and peaceful, and the wooden horse rested on its shelf, holding all the warmth of all the summers it had known, ready to give it away again, whenever it was needed.